How did you, what was the catalyst for reforming Switch?
You mean forming the initially
No,
or
reforming. No, no, where we are now. What was the catalyst for coming back after all those years?
to be honest with you, knowing that I had great music that the public still wanted to hear, that every time I went somewhere and someone found out who I was, they would, treat me a certain way and talk to me about, compliment the music and things like that. And I also, Philip, Eddie, Jody, Bobby, Tommy, we became brothers. And even though Bobby and I went in two different directions because his psyche took him someplace else, and my commitment to keeping my band together would not let him destroy it. So we're at odds on some of it. But I don't know, did I tell you this part about when Bobby, the last couple months of his life, he came to live with me? Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah. The AIDS. He'd gotten out of prison. He actually, after he got out of prison, he was going to do that last album, that It's Not Over album, if you're familiar with it. And he contacted me and asked me to write a song with him. So I would go over to his apartment and, and we'd work together and write the song and do what we were going to do and stuff like that. And Bobby had the AIDS pretty bad and it was eating him up externally and internally. And when he got to a place where he couldn't, psychologically, he was gone to the point where he didn't trust his wife or didn't trust his kids. He asked me, can I live with you? I had a house in Woodland Hills, California, big enough. And I told him absolutely. So maybe the last 6 weeks to 2 months of his life, he lived at that house with me. And I had a roommate and a nephew that lived there. And for the most part, man, we watched him deteriorate, to tell you the truth. We were there to support him. It was a lot of things that went on with all that. And I won't give you all the gory details of it. But finally, after his paranoia had taken complete control, I had to call his brothers. And what they did, they came and they got him and they took him back to Grand Rapids and put him in hospice, where he stayed in hospice for about a month and then he died. So, and actually, I was the only one to make it back to the funeral too, now that I think about it, which was sad. But yeah, he lived with me I'd say the last couple of months of his life, basically.
Were
But
you
that was
guys
my brother, man. Despite everything else that had happened, I'm the one that walked him into this madness with the TNT flashes. And I was just trying to keep that group together is why we fought most. He was fighting the demons inside, and I was fighting with him because I wasn't going to let the demons inside destroy my group and destroy him. But beside all of that, we loved each other, and that's what that was. And when he needed me, I came through. And it would have been vice versa. I know that in any other situation.
I know. Were you able to I'm sure. Was there things, I mean, had you seen him since prior to when he broke up and before he called you? Did
Well, funny thing about it, a year or so after we broke up, I hadn't seen him, but I used to visit him in prison. In fact, I bought him a piano that they authorized that he could have in his cell. Not the first prison he was at, but the second one. They said he could have it, a little portable piano. Casios were just coming out. I bought him one and took it to him and things like that. So we were in touch all the while he was in prison. I was in New Jersey at the time, and he was in prison. And then when I moved back to California shortly thereafter, uh, he got out and he moved back to California. So we were in touch. Like I said, he called me and asked me to help him on his album, and I did. So we were in touch. We weren't hanging out and doing things like we used to all the time. To that extent, he had a wife and kids, and he was sick and all of this. But yeah, we rekindled. You
wow.
know, and it's ironic too. He left Switch, but who does he call? He calls me and he calls Philip to help him work on his album. So
Wow.
he was still Switch.
But that sounds very challenging, having somebody almost come to live with you and die. I mean, I don't know how does one manage that emotionally?
a day at a time. One day at a time. I can't tell you the nights after he went to sleep and I went to my room and I closed my door and I cried. I can't tell you. Because I was actually watching him deteriorate. And there was nothing I could do. Nothing I could do. Only thing I could do, I did. And that was give him a roof while he needed and be there to comfort him if he needed. And we talked a lot. We talked a lot about life. We talked a lot about our lives. We had a lot of things to bounce off of each other in the course of it. And we laughed a lot. When he wasn't too sick to laugh, we laughed a lot. But as I said, that was my brother, man.
I mean, that doesn't, I mean, it feels emotionally, that must be a toll. How did you, especially after he passed, how did you sort of overcome that grief? Because you've seen him with,
Yeah, that was a part of me that died when he died. It was one day at a time, man. That's how I dealt with it, one day at a time. You have to keep moving. I can't tell you, how I did it. Just like now, I've lost 5 siblings, in the past 8 years, even more than that. A couple uncles and aunts that were very close to me, and it hurt like hell. I'll tell you, I'm hurting about Angie, because Angie and I were friends, but you get through however you get through. And you pray about it and ask God for strength, and you keep going. And that's as good as it gets. We all have to cross that threshold at some point in time. So that understanding that, believe it or not, me, it helps. Because I know I got to go that way. And I'm not afraid to go that way. Whenever I got to go that way, I got to go that way. So, and I understood it had to happen to them, whether it was before me or after me. But you deal with it one day at a time, man. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I did miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jodeci's voice meant in all spirits.
Play it.
And all these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.